Well, hey there. Welcome into the Ben Maynard program. Thanks for being here. You guys have no idea what's been going on before the record button was hit. It's just insane, but it's all good stuff. And if you guys love music, if you love one of our amazing founding fathers in Benjamin Franklin, then this is where you need to be right now. For the next little bit, this is where you need to stay. Okay. But before we get into that, let me remind you that this program is available wherever you get your podcasts. It's also on YouTube. So if you need a little bit of this right here, then you know where to go. But wherever it is that you take in your podcast, just hit subscribe. Okay. Last but not least, follow me on my socials. First, Instagram, it's simply Ben Maynard Program, all one word, or where I'm a little more active on the TikTok, you can get me at the Ben Maynard Program. So there are plenty of ways to take in this show for your dancing and listening pleasure. And
Dancing?
did you hear?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's right. There's a lot of dancing that goes on too, sometimes anyway.
Okay, I'm going to hold you to that one. All right, Ben.
Yeah, I don't know about that. All right. You can hear right there. You hear, I've got my guest today on the phone. We're doing this old school because for whatever reason, and I need to get this thing straight. I think I need to get it straightened out. I don't know. We'll find out. But we had some issues with the stream and all that, but
Mercury has been in retrograde, dude. I told you.
Yeah. Nevertheless, you know what Freddie Mercury sang? He said the show must go on.
Absolutely.
Yes. So, today my guest is the founder of the award-winning firm PLA Media. She also previously was a partner at Doyle Lewis Management, where her first client was this little old country boy, cowboy artist named Garth Brooks. She recently,
true.
Yeah, so true. She recently wrote and released 2 books on our favorite founding father, Benjamin Franklin. I'm going to hold these up. The titles, the first one here is Ben Franklin Visits Franklin for a Day. And the second one right here on camera is Benjamin Franklin, America's First Rock Star. Yes, 2 books, one more for the adults and one more geared towards the kids. So yeah, I could keep going on, but I'm not going to because you hear her in the background and I want to get her on here. So it's a great pleasure. Pam Lewis is my guest. Thank you so much, Pam.
I am honored, and I want you to just take a deep breath because you've been stressing. And I don't want you to stress, Benjamin.
Yeah, no, I'm
chill, man. I'm like totally. We're not techies. You're way more tech than I am, and I'm like, this is like a regular occurrence with me.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Okay.
I don't get upset about stuff. These are first world problems, dude.
This is the part where the Leo in me comes out because everything needs to be perfect. It's got to go just as planned. Now, yes, there are times when I can shift gears and change up on a fly, but I don't like to have to do that.
No. Well, I get it. I mean, we all like to have things go the right way. And I appreciate you being concerned about my time, but I'm totally cool. Like the rest of the afternoon is yours, babes. It's all yours. Go ahead. Let's talk.
It's just you and me.
Talk about.
Oh, okay. You're going to pull the little New York out now, huh?
Yeah, well, maybe. I'm from New York.
I know you are.
I told you I do have an LA connection too. I had an office in LA and we had a place in Playa del Rey. And anyway, yeah, I thought I would die several times on your freeways. I'm just going to say, holy moly.
Yeah, that's an adventure in itself and one that we're not going to talk about. But
no, it's all good. It's all good. I like California, beautiful state. So much to see and do.
There is a ton to see and do. I think if you ask most people here, we don't want to pay the taxes though. So
No.
We
Well,
try.
we have no state income tax here in Tennessee. So we have a lot of people moving here, including Californians.
Yes.
And so people are complaining about Californians moving here. And I say, that's not very nice. Don't say that, because we're all from somewhere. I'm not from the South. So I always tell people to stop doing that. I don't think that's very nice.
Well,
all it does is create friction. We don't need friction, any more friction.
I just say if you're going to move somewhere, if you're going to change states, then just don't take here to there, because if you take here to there, then there becomes here, and then why did you go?
Well, but think about this, okay? We are a country of immigrants. And if that were true, there would be no Chinatown, there would be no Little Italy, there would be no melting pot. So people are always going to be bringing part of their heritage, part of their life experience. It's unrealistic to think that. Now, what I think is important is you learn the room, like read the room.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like, if you move here and all you do is complain about the here that you moved to, that's when it's problematic. And I'm like, hey, listen, I was in office. If you're pissed, run for office. Stop complaining.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it. It's like, at least friggin' vote,
Yes.
It's like, go give back. How about you give back to your community instead of sitting here and throwing stones? Then I get a little miffed. But, you get to a certain age and you have opinions and you don't have as much edit on your mouth. So I have to watch it. Just Sagittarius in me coming out.
Oh, Sag. Are you late November or are you December?
Let me just say that sometimes Thanksgiving falls on my birthday. And
wait a minute. Okay, wait a second.
I thought that the Macy's Day Parade was for me. Because I'm the 23rd. My mother used to say we would always have a litany of loud family that would come visit, and they would all congregate, as most people do, in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And so she would say to me, I was the oldest kid, I had one sister, go watch your parade, operative word, pronoun, your. Go in the TV room, go in the living room and watch your parade. And I thought she meant it, like it was my parade. So I'm like, oh my God, all these floats and all this cool stuff, it's all for me.
Uh-huh.
So that's what I still, turn it on every year and say, thank you very much for acknowledging my birthday.
Yeah. How long did it take before you figured out that she was actually saying, get out of here, kid, you're bothering me?
Oh, well, yeah. Pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Well, it's funny that your birthday is the 23rd. My wife, Catherine, her birthday is the 27th. So
27th. Okay.
Yeah. So, just like you, she's a Sag. And last year, Thanksgiving fell on her birthday. So
there you go.
There was no Thanksgiving dinner to be cooked in this house. She was taking the day off.
So. Well, it's, sometimes people who have birthdays close to holidays, they sort of get short shrift. So,
right.
Yeah, I can sort of see that.
Yeah.
Or you can do what I do, and you can tell your wife this. I milk the entire month of November.
Oh, come on now.
Hell yeah.
No.
No.
It's birthday, not birth month.
No, it's birth month.
Oh, please, Pam, please.
I just do things for, I don't wait around. I'm like, I'm having a massage. That's it. It's like, what is it, Miley Cyrus? I can buy my own flowers. I just buy my own flowers.
All right.
I just do my own thing.
That's okay.
I'm not doing it in an obnoxious way, but I'm going to celebrate a little bit.
Okay.
I've made it this long. You know what I mean?
Well, there was one thing you said, and then this is where we're going to start. Okay. You mentioned giving back.
Yeah.
And earlier this year, you kind of did that exact thing. And so this is kind of where we'll start our conversation and bring everybody into the fold. You gave a bronze statue of Benjamin Franklin sitting on a bench. I think it's called Ben Sitting on a Bench, isn't it?
Yes, it's Ben on the Bench.
Oh, Ben on the Bench. There you go.
Ben on the Bench.
Okay. Yeah. Uh-huh. And I saw a picture of it. It's gorgeous. It's a gorgeous statue. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is not a novel concept. A lot of places across our country and businesses across our country are named after one of our founding fathers, Ben Franklin. So my little town that I live in, which is just south of Nashville, Tennessee, Music City, which, by the way, is in the 1,000 Places to Visit Before You Die book.
That's right.
So if you're coming to Middle Tennessee, stop and see us. Our town was named after Ben. Now, people ask, was he there? Did he ever visit? No, actually, our town was founded in 1799, and he died in 1790, so 9 years before we were actually incorporated.
Right.
But the whole story is that he had a friend that he signed the Constitution with. And that was a guy named Dr. Hugh Williamson.
Yes,
and
yes.
Our county is Williamson County. So they were pals, and Mr. Williamson went to the Tea Party, by the way.
Okay.
And Mr. Williamson also was a pal of Mr. Franklin, and Franklin had this printing press. So they would print out these, recalcitrant flyers that were against the British. And they were cohorts in crime. So when I've heard that story, I'm like, oh my God, I love these stories. And then there's a guy named Maury, and Abram Maury, Maury. Abram Maury was one of our founders of this part of the country. And these are a lot of like land grants, and people came for a lot of reasons. So a lot of land development and farming. It's a very fertile area. And then we had fur traders early on too. At any rate, Maury was married to a woman named Martha, and they were going to call it Marthasville. And Martha said, well, please don't do that. Name it after Ben. So that's how this weird kind of convoluted thing happened. So we were getting ready to celebrate the 250th, which is where I'm talking to you in 2026. So this was last year.
Yeah.
And I was talking to a friend of mine, Mary, and I'm like, for Christ's sake, what are we doing around the 250th? When I was a kid, just a little spunky little twerp, I was in Japan, and I was an exchange student there. And the 200th bicentennial was happening, and everybody was excited. Yes. Everybody across the planet was excited. And of course, America was excited. And this year it was like, nobody was all that excited. And I said, man, we should do something. And I lived in Franklin a long time. Why don't we honor Ben? And so Mary said, well, why don't you go talk to the DAR, the Daughters of the American Revolution? I'm like, okay. So I go talk to these ladies. We meet at the post office, and they're hand wringing, and they're trying to figure out what to do. And they're going to have bake sales to raise money for a sculptor. And I listened to this for about an hour. And I'm kind of, Sagittarian. So it's like lead, follow, get out of the way. We're very sort of like streamlined, if you will. So I listened, and I said, listen, they were going to hire the sculptor who had done a sculpture of another person that is in town that was a wonderful guy. He was Coach Gentry. And I said to one of the ladies, I said, did you ever meet Coach Gentry? And she said, no. And I said, well, the statue is like an impressionistic view of him. But if you get someone to do Ben, it needs to be a really good likeness, because everybody's had a $100 bill in their back pocket. We all know what Ben Franklin looks like.
Yes.
So I said, I'll tell you what, you guys find somebody who is really good at doing Ben Franklin. There are other towns named Ben Franklin. There are other statues that are named after Franklin. They exist. There's got to be somebody here. Let's find them, and I'll pay for it. Because I don't like to go to a lot of meetings. I don't like a lot of committees. I mean, I do go to a lot of meetings, but I'm like TikTok. And the older I get, I'm more TikTok. So by the end of the day, a lady named Buffy Barrel had found this guy. And she calls me up, and she says, you're not going to believe this. His name is George Lundeen. Do you want to talk to him? I said, hell yeah. And he was this wonderful sculptor who was living in Colorado. And lo and behold, he had done Ben on the Bench for a private collector who owned the statue for about a few years. I don't even know. But he had it on his private estate, and the man passed away. And the family called him, and they said, we are not interested in keeping this statue. Are you interested in buying it? So George brought it back over a year ago. It was in his barn. So he said, you guys can have it if you want it. I'll sell it to you. So we just cut out about a year and a half, 2 years of going plans and doing a marquette and all, you know how it is, it takes a whole process to do a sculpture. I've worked on projects like this.
Right.
So I said, okay. So then we called the county, we got the land. I called our county mayor and I said, Rogers, he just retired. I said, Rogers, I'm not asking for any money. I'm going to give you something. And he said, what is it? And I said, how about a Ben Franklin statue in front of our museum and our archives? So that's what happened. And we unveiled him. Fast forward, they shipped the statue.
Yeah.
And we unveiled Ben on his birthday. So his birthday was January 17th.
Oh, okay.
He would have been 320 years old. And he is juxtaposed in our little town in front of what was our library, which is now our archives. And he started archives. He also started the first post office.
Yeah.
And so there's this sort of homage. It's very symbolic. And people come and they like it. I just saw people yesterday and they're standing, looking, reading the plaque. And I said, where are you guys from? And they're like, Alaska. I said, shut up. I said, would you like me to take a picture of you? I mean, this is like a progressive commercial, right? They're like, well, that would be really cool. And we started talking. I said, well, I'm the lady that gave the badge. So come on, sit down. So that is happening now. People are getting kind of excited. And so then I thought, well, if I'm going to do the bench, let me connect the dots and I'll do these little books. So that's kind of, frankly, it was more getting myself out of my comfort zone. And I don't want to be yesterday's news, Ben. I want to have something else to talk about besides the different things that I worked on when I was in my 20s and 30s and 40s, And there's, when you don't have a boss, you've got to have some goals. Otherwise, you could stay in bed all day and nobody would even give a flip, So
yeah.
They don't. They really don't. The phone doesn't ring, right?
Yeah.
So I have to create goals for myself and give back. You're right. The giving back is important. That's always been instilled in me from my mother and dad, especially my daddy. And so there you have it. So that's a legacy thing. I don't have children. Unlike you have kids and grandbabies. I don't have that. I am happily barren. So you look back on your life and you're like, what the hey did I do?
Yeah.
And, I'll waxing biblical to those much as given. And I say, I wasn't given anything except good health, a life on this planet. I feel very, very, very blessed. But nobody gave me money per se. I mean, I've made money. I've made my own success, but it's incumbent upon us to give back. I really believe that. And to those much is given, much is expected. And then you have to have discernment of what you give to. Also, that's important to do that. And so that's kind of where I am right now. And I've always been interested in what's the next step and how do I challenge myself. And
right.
I'm like, anyone want to ask me? If they want to ask me about MTV, I'll talk about MTV. I can talk about Garth Brooks. I can talk about all the things that have happened in this very crazy life of mine. But I'm also like, okay, what's to the future? I got a few more years left, God willing, And I think then I had a near-death experience when I was quite young. It was a bad year for Elvis, and it was a bad year for me.
Oh. Gotcha.
And I had an anaphylactic reaction to a wasp sting in my face. I was stung twice and I flatlined like twice. Wow. And I almost didn't make it. And so when I kind of processed all of that, and it was years later, I always say I had a choice. And whoever's listening, don't be afraid of dying, because let me just say, the other plane is euphoria. It is the best high you've ever had. And I came back because I felt I had a job I needed to do. And I remember I had a grade school friend who died very early from a brain aneurysm. And my mother said, I will never survive the death of you or Cheryl. I would never survive it. It would kill me. Children should not predecease their parents. And I thought, I got to come back because it's not fair to Joan. So my mother just passed recently. And that was like a circle completed, is to give back to my parents, look after them, make them proud, all of that good stuff, sort of the traditional values, if you will. So then you got to be like, okay, now what? What's next? So my mom would be so excited about Ben. She didn't get to see Ben, but she taught me preservation. My dad and my mother both. They were very much preservationists, and I would get drugged to museums, and my mom would do little archaeological digs, and she didn't know what the hell she was doing, but she worked on this inn in the Mid-Hudson Valley. I grew up in the Mid-Hudson Valley, so a lot of Revolutionary War history.
Yeah.
And, just going to New York and going to the Museum of Natural History and the Met and going to Tanglewood. And, they wanted to make sure that I didn't embarrass them going to a museum or going to a concert. And, my mother was like, you need to learn to be cultured. I was like, what is that? Like a pearl? I don't even know what that means. But literally, every weekend I do something, I try to anyway, that expands my horizons. And before I got on the phone with you, I just went to a dance recital because I took dance and ballet and modern, and I know how hard it was to do these recitals and have the chutzpah to get up on stage. So I wanted to go and support this dance studio. And yesterday I was at a couple of things. I was at a Chicago tribute band that was super fun. And then I left and walked into downtown, and we have a bluegrass festival that's going on right now. And I went to support my friend who's been doing that for 30-something years and teaching traditional buck dancing and clogging, and there's fiddle competition. And so I think your life is so enriched if you have an appreciation of the arts. It just catapults you to the next hemisphere. And so anyway, I'm going to shut up.
First off, you gave me so much to chew on just in that there. But
hopefully it wasn't gristle.
No, I would have spit it out. So I'm going to get back to the books in just a second. But I think living in a small town gives you a lot to, there's something about that. It seems that there's like so much more, like a community feeling. People just are, love to be out and with one another. Everyone knows everyone. And, it's, people are more apt to, it seems like, go out and support these local things. Like you said, you're out there supporting this bluegrass act. You're going out and seeing a Chicago tribute band. You went out to go to a dance recital earlier today, just stuff like that. And it's all just community stuff.
Yeah. Well, here's the kicker. May I say, Franklin is about 100,000 people. Okay. But if you're involved in the community, and I ran for office, I got peeved about some stuff. I ran for office. And so I'm on various boards and commissions, and I'm on our state museum board. I'm on Belmont Mansion board. I'm on a board called Hard Bargain, and it's our African-American community. And we're working to build workforce housing, which is quite a challenge across the world, really. I'm very much so in California. Land prices are so high. Yeah. Construction prices are so high. So I care about those issues. And what happens is there's probably 200 people that I know, and we're all involved. We're all very involved. So we see each other. We're at different events. I get an email yesterday. Hey, do you want to go to the fundraiser for the animal shelter? Yeah, great. I'll be there. When is it? Friday. Okay, I'll be there. So I don't think when you have a big city, you have to work harder at having those kind of connections. And even, LA is enormous. Okay. Yeah. But you can still be involved with the people on your block. You can still be involved with a church or a book club, or you can run for city council. There's a lot of ways that you can figure out a way to give back. You can be your neighborhood, whatever. Neighborhood watch.
Yeah, whatever. Exactly.
But I think we get in our little pods, and I got to tell you, you and I spoke a little bit about this. The internet is wonderful. It allows you to do a hell of a lot of work that would have taken a lot longer, to do research quickly, but it's also a double-edged sword. And I've recently gotten Amazon Prime. I'm like, what in the hell? This is like a snake in the grass. And I have to stop. I'm like, okay, stop it. Just turn it the hell off, right? And I didn't even do Facebook until, this is like embarrassing. I did not do Facebook until COVID because I thought, this is like the Christmas card that your mother sent out. And it would be like, they'd get a card. You remember? My mother kind of did this, not really, but kind of. But everybody else's mom would do this, and they would write all the amazing things that happened in the family, and they'd stick it in an envelope, and it would go out. And I'm like, okay. Well, you didn't talk about the fact that Uncle Harry just got a rehab, and the cat's like a lunatic and just tore up the sofa. It was all the most amazing stuff.
Of course, it is.
And it was just bragging and bragging, like non-stop bragging. And I'm like, this is yucky. Yeah, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And then a friend of mine said, well, Pam, it's a way of staying relevant. If you'd be on Facebook, you'd know that blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, all right, fine. So I talked to my staff. I'm like, what is Facebook? Help me get on Facebook and make sure that I don't do anything stupid.
Yeah.
So that's even I sound like a retard, right? And that I'm even saying that. But and now I have to really discipline myself because I see the seduction of it, right? Like, you're just like, whoa, and I don't want to be the person that's like, how many likes do I have? I don't want to be that person.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the way to do that is you get out and you pull weeds and you cook and you don't, I don't go out to eat all the time. And it's like, I have these goals. I'm like, how small can my carbon footprint be? How few trips can I make? How, I don't need all that stuff. Why do I need all that stuff? That's like very materialistic. So I like it, but I don't need it. And I need to be disciplined about how I spend my life and my money and my time, quite honestly, because it's the most precious commodity we have.
Time is something.
With the Viking commercial, right?
Time is something you never get back. They're not making any more time. But to what you said, we are really getting off topic, people, but that's okay because this is just good conversation. This is great stuff. But you were saying something, about, getting, because now you're on Facebook, you want to make a concerted effort to not get trapped in there and start going down rabbit holes you don't need to go down, and doing that so-called doom scrolling. Whether it could be Facebook or TikTok or Instagram or any other social media platform. And it's nice when one can recognize that and say, look, I'm going to use it for this and this alone. I'm not going to spend a whole bunch of time outside of whatever my purpose is to be on whatever platform you choose, whether it's one or all of them. And, but it's unfortunate that we don't have enough older people, being, I guess I would say, parents, that make sure that their kids are practicing that.
Right.
And like when you and I, when we were much younger and kids, we didn't have this stuff. And video games, TV video games, the very first game console for your television was Odyssey. It came out in 1975. And,
right.
I had one of those and we would have, whether it was Atari or in television or whatever it was, but we weren't so consumed by that where we stayed in the house. We didn't want to be in the house when we were kids, Pam. If you made your parents mad and they said, you got to stay in the house, you can't go outside, that was it. You're heartbroken.
That's right. Exactly right.
Because
and they would call you and you would ignore them. It was like time to come in for dinner. You'd ignore them.
Yeah.
Right?
Hated coming in.
And kids had suntans because they were out playing and they were drinking out of water hoses,
Oh yeah.
All the stuff that you would never let a kid do.
Of course. But you'd have to turn the water hose on. And then you have to let it run for like a minute because you got to get the hot water out of it.
That's
so that it was cold enough to drink.
Like,
Yes.
Disgusting.
Oh, yes.
So for real, like my father was one of 11 children.
Holy cow.
Yeah. I said, Daddy, that's like a litter of puppies. Are you kidding me? They were Catholics. And my mother was one of 3 children, and she was the only divorced kid in school. So I was raised like, turn off the TV and read a book.
Okay.
And my father says, you need to learn how to delay gratification. That was his thing. And I'm like, what's gratification mean, Dad? He said, look it up. And so I did not get everything that I wanted, not by a long shot. I mean, I finally tortured my grandfather to buy me a Schwinn bike so that I could get on my bike and bike into town, which was about 5 miles away.
Okay.
So I grew like pretty rural, you know, and I grew up riding horses. My grandfather, he kind of was like Dirty Dancing, you know, that movie.
Yeah.
He was actually my step granddaddy, but really influenced me. And he married my grandmother, and he was Jewish. He went to Cornell, and he was going to be involved in animal husbandry, and he studied genetics and all this stuff. And he started a chicken farm. He goes, well, this is boring as hell. And he wanted to be, you know, he wanted land. He wanted to have a farm. So he's like, well, how can I have a farm? How can I have open space? Because he grew up, you know, in the city. He went to Erasmus in the city. How can I do that and have the best of both worlds? He thought, well, what if I buy property and have a hotel, and then people will come, and I'll have the horses and the land, and then they'll come, and then he could have somebody cook his meals for him because he needed a chef, and he could have someone make his bed and clean. So that's what he did. And that's where I spent my entire childhood. Every weekend, if I was good, I would spend there.
Wow.
And he, you know, it was like idyllic. And we never went out to eat. Never went out to eat, hardly at all. And my mother used to say, order something that I don't make at home. And I would order like a hot dog or something. She says, why are you doing that? Or a hamburger? Because I was so intimidated by a menu. Like I didn't even know what to do. Right. I'm like, well, order for me. She said, no, learn how to order off a menu. I mean, this stupid stuff like that. That's how naive we were. Hard to believe now, right?
But yeah, what you said, that is so true. When I was growing up, maybe 2, 3 times, maybe 4 times we'd go out to a restaurant a year. And generally it was this coffee shop that was pretty close to the house. We would probably go to breakfast there. I think there was,
and it was special, right?
Oh,
it was considered special.
Yeah, absolutely, it was special.
I mean, I have never done DoorDash ever. Don't do it. Don't know how to do it. Don't have it on my phone.
I'm not doing it myself. If
I
I
don't
can't
do Uber Eats.
If I can't go out and pick up,
I'm not paying that. I'm not doing. I cook all the time. You know.
And if I want something, you know, if I want something not at home, I'm going to go get it myself. I don't need somebody to bring it to me. Let me go get it.
Well, how darn lazy can you be? Hello.
Well, and also too, Pam, growing up, the only food, well, there were 2. The only food that you ever had delivered to your house, maybe, and probably once we were living on our own, was pizza or Chinese food.
That's exactly right.
Those are the only two places that would deliver to your home.
Absolutely. And here's the kicker. Like, you lived probably in a more urban, like, or suburban area than I did. We actually had milk and eggs delivered on our porch. Yes. Silver Lake Dairy. And we had this box that was galvanized, and it would keep it cool, right? And we lived like out in the country.
Yeah.
And the Topmans would deliver eggs, and Silver Lake Dairy would deliver milk. And the holidays, they would call, because it was all, you know, you had an account with them. Mrs. Lewis, do you need heavy cream? Do you need heavy cream for the holidays, or do you need half and half, or do you need eggnog? You know, seriously, that's how it was. And within my lifetime. So those days are so long gone, it's not even funny. You know, and I kind of yearn for them. Like, I really want to live in Mayberry, you know, or the Waltons. Like, I used to love John Boy, you know. Yeah. I'm just love.
Yeah. So. Yeah. No, but you know, now we didn't have milk or eggs or butter delivered to the house, but I will say this: the first house that I bought, my first home that I owned, I bought my first house at 22 years old. And
shut up, you beat me, dude. Yeah. I was 25. That's impressive.
Yeah. And
what'd you pay? Let me ask, what'd you pay?
Oh, I paid $125,000 and put down $5,000.
And how many bedrooms?
It was a small house. It was 3 bedrooms, 1 bath, built in the early 50s.
Shut up. Love
Yeah,
it.
yeah. And it, of course, no air conditioning. But it was in uh, a small city, probably 8 miles from downtown LA, called Montebello. And
Uh-huh.
and our garage was separate from the house, so it sat back away from the house. But you pull up the driveway, and just at the rear corner of the house, where the back porch was, what would be also considered like the service porch, where you put your washer or dryer, there was a little door on the exterior wall of the house. A little door, you open it up, and that's where the milkman would put your milk or your eggs or whatever.
I
And
love it.
we
I
didn't,
love it.
yeah, we never used it because we didn't have to, because we didn't have that service available then. But there was a dairy, an actual dairy, very close to that house, Montebello Dairy, as a matter of fact. Now the ownership changed, and it was Broguier's Dairy, and Ray Broguier, the owner, was fantastic guy. But we'd go buy our milk in glass bottles there, and
Did
just
it have cream on the top?
a little bit, yeah, a little bit.
There you go.
And
Like the whole skim milk thing,
uh-huh,
and
yep,
all that 2%, 1%. That was not really an option.
yeah.
Like if you were like, I'm serious. If we had chocolate milk, boy, you do a cartwheel. Like that was special. Like we didn't have stuff like that.
Well,
Mm-mm.
Broguier's Dairy makes the best chocolate milk ever. It's their own recipe, and it's the best. And they're even known for their eggnog, which they bring out, during the holiday season. Oh, just the best stuff. So people.
So spell Rogier. Spell it for me.
Broguier's, it's Bruie. I think it's a double R E''S.
Rogiers. And so it's almost French. Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
He actually used to own a couple of farms. I live now in Chino Hills, California, so I'm a little further east of LA from where I used to be and where I grew up. But it's when I moved out here 35 years ago, it was really like a cow town. There was, there were horse ranches out here. People still had cows. I could look out my dining room window and see cows on the hillsides and that kind of stuff. And now over the years, our population is about the same as Franklin. It's around 100,000, but unfortunately, like, our city council has chased out so many of the horse owners. There's still a couple of horse ranches around, but people would actually have horse property in their residential neighborhoods, and
sure.
they kind of put the kibosh on that. You can't own horses in a residential neighborhood and all this silly stuff. I miss all that. I loved seeing people ride their horses down the street and like I said, look out my window and see cows. But
well, I was really lucky when Bob and I were working with Garth.
Yeah.
I had a friend named Terry Brown, and her daddy worked with MCA Publishing, and Terry worked for Universal. And so she booked like the Universal Amphitheater, and she did artist management.
What a great
she worked
venue.
with Merle Haggard. She was just like kind of an older sister mentor of mine. And so she used to say, well, why are you staying in a hotel? Just stay here. And she lived in Bell Canyon.
Okay.
Which is near Calabasas.
Yeah.
And I loved going there because she had this cool dog named Royal, and I would walk her dog for her, and she had horses, and we go to Calabasas, and there was this Mexican restaurant there. I don't even know the name of it. I don't know if it's still there, but people would come there like on their horseback and tie up. This was back in the 90s, late 80s, early 90s. I don't know if that's still happening, but it was super cool. And she said, "Oh yeah, we have a real coyote problem." So she said, "Don't walk the dog at night." And I was like, "Okay, gotcha, no problem." I have coyotes too. I live on a farm. I have 68 acres. So,
nice.
Yeah. So, I was out. I worked for 5 hours yesterday in the yard, cutting and cutting weeds and trimming stuff and everything. Keeps you active. It keeps you grounded. I think it's really important to stay grounded.
I think so. I agree with that wholeheartedly, Pam.
I don't have a housekeeper. I don't need it. Like
No.
I can run the house. I can run like a carpet sweeper.
Yep.
I can dust. It
Yep.
just makes me move, right? You know.
Exactly. Like, getting back to the whole not having food delivered to your house too. It's the same thing. You just get up and go and you do it yourself. I will never have a gardener do my yard work. I
will admit, I have someone mow for me because I have to mow quite a bit of property.
Sure.
And I used to do it. Now I will bush hog a little, but I'm like, holy mother of God, this is a lot. And weed eating, that's a lot.
It is.
So he was supposed to come today, and we've had a lot of rain. So he got rained out, and he's going to come Monday. But that's my one concession. Well, and I have a guy help me with fences and stuff like that.
Yeah, so. But look, you have a big piece of property. I have a third of an acre, right? And I think I have a big piece of property. So
that's a lot, though, dude. That's a lot.
It's a lot for Southern California, anyway.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So look, people, hang on. I'm going to show you this, okay? Because I showed it to you once. Pam can't see because like I said, we're doing it old school. But this is her first. This is the one book. Benjamin Franklin, America's First Rock Star. And then the kids version, Ben Franklin Visits Franklin for a Day. Okay. I don't want you to forget about those. And we are going to get back to the books, Pam. We are going to get back to that.
Where I came up with that idea, okay, Ben, is that, and you could have been named after Ben Franklin. You are after your parents.
Well,
but, I'm going to call you Benjamin.
You know what? Hey, just like we talked about it, you call me anything you want. Just don't call me late for dinner, okay?
Late for supper.
That's right. So no, my dad was a junior. He was Benjamin Harrison. And when my parents got married, and of course my mom was having me, my dad wanted to name me after him, but my mom put her foot down and she said, he's not going to be the third. He's going to be the first because his middle name is going to be after my dad. So I'm Benjamin Donald. But so now
that's very auspicious.
Now maybe my grandfather was, named after, Ben Franklin, or he could have been maybe named after the president, Benjamin Harrison. I don't know.
Ben Franklin, one of the things I love about him, and he was very enigmatic. He was not a good daddy. He was not a good husband. He was a bit of a philanderer.
He did like the women.
He liked the ladies.
Yeah.
But he also, and he was always evolving. So he literally only had 2 years of formal education. Everything else he was self-taught. And I love that about him. So he had this sense of adventure, and he was continually curious. And if you think about it's not easy to get to Europe now, right? You got to think about it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
You got to get, you got to get on a plane, you got to get a passport, blah, blah, blah. You think of what it took for someone in colonial times to travel and go to England and go to France. And he did that regularly. And had he not, we would not have probably won the revolution because he got the French involved.
Yes.
Through his negotiation, through his charm, he was celebrated. And so I postulated that he was our Leonardo da Vinci. He was our first rock star. I mean, he was our first social, influencer. He really was. And also kind of like you don't judge a book by the cover. So, he was kind of chubby. He was balding. He wore spectacles, which, by the way, he invented.
Yes. Yes. I'm glad you brought that. I'm so glad you brought that up. Yes, he did.
He did not look like Brad Pitt, this guy. And so to me, isn't that great? Like you can still be, in other words, bloom where you're planted. Right? I mean, I'm not gorgeous, and I don't have wait,
don't stop that, okay? Stop it right now.
No, but I'm just saying, it is a great testament to, being your best self, I guess is the best way to put it, and being resourceful and being resilient. That's one of the things I love about Ben. So there's so many lessons, and the other thing too, Ben Maynard, Ben Maynard. Let me just say this about Ben Franklin. Ben Franklin Well, at the time he died, he was famous and he was wealthy, but he was not driven by wealth. He was not driven by accumulation. He had so many inventions and he refused to have patents because he wanted to share them.
Stop right there. Because what I want you to do is I want you to, a lot of people know, maybe some people didn't know that Ben Franklin, invented the bifocals, but and he was like you had said, he wasn't a great, he wasn't a looker, so to speak. He didn't have this the physique of Adonis, nothing like that. But one thing he was, and without having that formal education, but wanting to learn through, I don't want to say maybe culture, but he was a very well-dressed, sharp-dressed man and believed in quality on everything. Everything had to be top-notch, whether it was his clothes, his shoes, the products that he would consume or use, and down to the stuff that he would even invent. And I want you to tell the audience maybe just one or two things. Tell them something about Ben Franklin that they don't know.
Well, one of the things I love about him, Ben, is that he didn't take himself too seriously. So he talks about how he got up at 9 a.m.
Yeah.
And the first thing he would do is pick up a newspaper and he would turn to the obituaries. And if his name wasn't in the column, he'd get up.
Okay.
And he was like very much like he was not someone who wasted time. So he was all about being very schedule driven, if you will.
Right.
He set goals for himself. And the little book that I have, which is meant to be fun, is meant to be something you give. There's all these incredible tomes that have been written about him. And it's kind of like whether you visit Franklin, Tennessee, or whether you don't, it's kind of cool. You give it as a gift. There's all kinds of like little lessons in there, all kinds of facts. It's just meant to be fun. And then I thought to myself, well, who would he have loved to have had dinner with? Who would he hang with? So then I thought, who are the other rock stars in the world?
Yeah.
And my publisher said, Pam, I said, because I'm giving all these ideas. And he's like, okay, stop. Because I have like an idea every second. He said, okay, we can do that, but they have to be dead. They have to be people that have already died.
Okay.
So I fought with him. Diane Keaton had just died. I said, we have to put Diane in there.
Wait, you said Diane Keaton. I am actually looking at that page right now. I opened the book to that page.
So Robbie is African American, my publisher, and he was like, I don't know about Diane. I said, shut up, Diane stays.
Yeah.
So some of the ones he contributed, people that he felt he wanted to resonate with. But Ben Franklin also loved music. Ben was a composer. He composed music. He wrote scores that were then recorded.
Mm-hmm.
He also created something called the glass harp, which Bach and all these different famous European composers were composing for his instruments. Of course, everyone knows about his electrical experiment.
Yes.
Right? But maybe they don't know about the post office. Maybe they don't know that it was very, very expensive to buy books, and only very wealthy people owned books. He started a library. He started the lending library, was started by Ben Franklin because he wanted to make books available to everyone.
Yes.
His world was opened up because he had books, and he started the printing press. So he was able to print posters, but he was also able to print books. But his family started out his first job was candle making.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then his dad did candle making. His brother did candle making. He was an apprentice. But I think he always had this wonderful sense of humor that I think is very, very appealing. He also was always kind of trying to figure it out. So for a while, he was vegetarian.
Okay. Right.
I mean, you don't think he's like a chub sucker, right? You don't think of him being a vegetarian, right? This is not a guy eating granola. And his favorite meal, though, he would dip into eating meat. And so his favorite meal was turkey. He liked cranberries, apples, and turkey. Sounds like the beginning of a Thanksgiving.
Sure does.
And then he would go back to eating, he liked cod cakes. He would go back to eating meat, and he had gout. So he's very enigmatic. I mean, it's like he is a man of many, many contradictions. He also owned slaves. He owned about 7 or 8 slaves, not a lot.
Yeah.
But by the time he got to middle age, he was like, this is wrong. I'm not doing this. He freed them all. And he started writing and advocating abolition.
Yeah.
And he is credited, and people may dispute this, but some of the things that I've read about him, when he was writing the Declaration of Independence, he was one of the contributors, Jefferson being one of the main contributors.
Yes.
He was editing a lot, and the original passage was life, liberty, and the pursuit of property. And property in the broadest sense, if you know what I mean.
Oh, yes. Right.
He X'd it.
Yeah.
And he said happiness. So like I said, like I would love to sit and hang with him. I would never want to go out with him, but I would love to have dinner with him. He would be hysterical.
You mean you wouldn't swipe right on his Bumble profile?
No, I don't think so. No.
Okay.
I'd be afraid to catch something, frankly.
Yeah. He was known to
listen to this. His son was a Tory, and they were estranged. His son was a sympathizer, a British sympathizer.
Okay. Something else that's in this book that it's cool, and you touched on it a little bit there, because you've got some are celebrities, some are just people of culture, but there are most of the people in here are known through history for something. Whether you've got Diane Keaton in here, and obviously she's known for being a wonderful actress. But with each of those photos, they're on one page, and there's a quote by that particular person.
Right.
They're all wearing shades, looking like rock stars, like Ben
They're
was
looking like rock
as well.
Stars.
Yeah,
and
of course.
I define rock star in the broadest sense.
Yeah, of course.
Jackie Robinson was a rock star.
Yes.
In sports.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying?
100%. Yes, I completely see what you're saying. And just stuff like, I just flipped a page, and Desmond Tutu. If you want peace, this is so good, people. If you want peace, you don't talk to your friends. You talk to your enemies.
Right.
And it's so simple, but boy, does that make all the sense in the world.
Well, it's just meant to be. I don't want to be overly pedantic or preachy, but it's just like, oh wow, that's kind of cool. Yeah. And then I was like, well, let me throw some recipes in there too. So
Pam, you're reading my mind here.
So I put some colonial recipes in there, and like when we were talking earlier, I had gone to the grocery store, and I'm like, oh son of a gun, this interview is going to start. So I had all these groceries. So I just packed away all my groceries because I am always cooking something. And that's where I show love, and that's where I have like creativity is like, okay, well, chicken's on sale. Let me split this up, and I'll bring some to my friend Wynn tomorrow, and whatever. And I just think that's just a way of getting to know people, is breaking bread, right?
Yeah,
right?
I love that. You're right.
And we don't do that enough. We stay in our little pods, and and I'm just as guilty, for goodness sake. I mean, I am like Ben. I am such a darn hypocrite in some ways, that it's like, do as I say, not as I do kind of thing. And I think he was a little bit like that, but he knew that about himself.
Yeah.
That's the thing. He was self-aware.
And
it's when you're not self-aware, when you don't do the introspection.
Yeah.
And then I think we get problematic, and then we get kind of lofty. We get kind of whatever. And he probably never should have gotten married, because, he basically abandoned his wife. Pretty sad.
Right. Well, speaking of recipes, when I was flipping through the book, the first recipe that I saw was the milk punch recipe.
Oh, it's the best damn thing you ever had.
You've tried it. You've tried it then.
Pardon?
I said, you've tried it then.
Hell yeah.
Oh, wow.
And you know where I had it? I had it actually in Natchez, Mississippi. Was the first time I had it. And my friend Scott introduced me to it. And I'm like, oh my God, this is excellent. So you should make it. You know, it's fun.
I want to make it. I really do. I want to.
Super fun.
I want to look at some more of these recipes. I saw the mincemeat pie one, and
yeah, I think we should go back to salons. Okay, so they used to have what they call salons. It's a French word, and you'd get a group of people together, and they would share ideas. They would break bread, and they would share ideas. And I think that's super cool. And you know, but do it in someone's home, not at a restaurant.
Yes, but that's what you would do when, you know, our generation or the generations before ours, Pam, is to get to know people. You would say, hey, come on over for dinner and let's, you know, we'll have dinner and we'll sit down. Like a lot of times the husbands would go pair off and go talk guy stuff, and then the women would pair off and go talk girl stuff. But that's how you made friends. That's how you got to know people in your community. That's how you built a circle. And
that's right.
And it's sad to say that it's almost a lost art.
And everyone would contribute. I live in an old house. My house was built. The oldest part of my house was built in 200 years ago. So this is the anniversary.
Oh, it's beautiful.
So it's two houses put together.
That's beautiful.
It's a Federalist house, and then there's antebellum house, right? Double portico, Greek Revival. And my house was the command post for General Hood. If anybody has heard of Fort Hood, it was named after,
of course,
John Bell Hood. And we had this little battle, which is not all that known, but it was a 5-hour battle, and it was very pivotal. And the South Atlanta had fallen, and the South was sort of on the downswing. The war was kind of winding down. But in November 30th, 1864, the darn battle was planned in my home. And my house was a field hospital, one of 44 field hospitals. It was also a spy headquarters for this woman named Annie Briggs Harrison, probably one of your ancestors. Anyway, and so I'm steeped in history all around me. And people are like, is it haunted? I'm like, hell yeah, it's haunted. Of course it's haunted. But they all love me. Like, they're listening right now, and they love that I remember them.
I love it.
It's all about like sharing, being a little bit vulnerable. When you cook, when you break bread with someone, when you invite them to your home, you're saying, this is who I am. You're showing, it's like, you know, you're your dog. You're like, your dog or your cat, when they show you the underbelly, they're being vulnerable.
They're
asking for you to pet them.
Yep.
And I think cooking is like that. I think, just like I'm talking to you, but I don't know you, but I'm getting to know you.
Right.
And we're becoming friends, but we're strangers, right?
Yes.
So it's like, what if we all decided to do a little bit of that? What if you picked up a piece of trash on the side of the road that you did not generate, just because it needed to be picked up? What if you let someone out in traffic that you're like, darn it, I have the right of way, but you do it anyway?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I go in bathrooms and I'm like, oh, this is a sty. And I pick up the trash. I pick up the paper towels on the floor in the bathroom at a ladies' room when I go to a restaurant. I just always do that. And people are like, what are you doing? I'm like, well, it looks gross here. Like the waiters and waitress, they're busy. So I'm going to pick this up.
And someone's got to do it, right?
So I feel like that's like a little mitzvah, like you're just giving back a little bit.
Yeah, of course.
And you just keep generating that. And then it's like, you know, what is the expression? Practice random acts of kindness. And, you know, what if we all just did that just a little bit? And I think Ben was kind of like that. I think he was like, well, let's go the extra mile. Why not? You know, instead of what's in it for me? Why does everything have to be so darn transactional? You know?
And probably a big reason as to why a lot of the things that he invented, he did not have patent, because it was like, okay, it's no big deal. We don't need to shine the spotlight on me. I'm doing this to to move things forward in our society, in our,
Right.
in our country here.
Well, the highest and best good. Let's look at what's the highest and best good.
Yeah.
And he became and not to sound metaphysical, but to sound metaphysical, I think he was very metaphysical. He was a Mason. And then he was naughty, and then they kicked him out. And then when he became famous, they put him back in, which is kind of funny. But I think he had this belief that he was blessed, and that the blessings would come back. It's like, it's like circle of life. But if you're just holding on and being greedy, how does that serve you, and how does that serve the world at large? And I think Ben's a great example of not doing that. And then we're still talking about him. He's still relevant. He's 320 years old. We're still talking about the guy.
Absolutely. Still talking about. And here's one thing, and I'm gonna mention this, and then I want to bring it back to music here, because we got some music we need to talk about, Pam.
Oh, hell yeah. Let's talk about
music. Yeah. So Ben Franklin does, to this day, he's still, that name is so very recognizable. George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, those guys, they're part of the core, and those guys are like the core of our founding fathers. But what a lot of people don't realize, and I didn't myself, was that there are 56 signers to the Declaration of Independence. And everybody knows the big name John Hancock. And if you guys don't know, I'll let you know. The reason why John Hancock's signature is the biggest on the Declaration of Independence is because he was the first one to sign it, and he wanted it to be so big that the king would see it and know that John Hancock was serious. So there you go. It was basically almost like his middle finger to the king.
So this is sedition. Think about this.
Yeah.
This is, obviously there's ego there too, but this was so ballsy to do this. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. 100%.
By the way, there's a new movie out called Young Washington.
Oh, it's such a beautiful movie. Oh, it's so good. So good. Man.
And I hope that people get interested in history. I think a lot of Americans, I think in general, we kind of, we find history boring, and we have short memories. It's incumbent upon us to know. I always say that I love to travel. I've been to, probably over 100 countries.
I saw that. I saw that. I'm like, holy Toledo.
Love to travel.
Yeah.
And we are really, we're kind of adolescent country right now, I would say.
Yes, 100%.
And so we're still trying to figure it out. This is an experiment.
It is.
And we still are kind of going through puberty, and puberty is rough. It's rough.
Yes.
It's messy.
Look, and we'll get away from it, but as young as as old as the country is, as young as the country is, it's both. And it's never been perfect, but it is the freest country on the planet. America is the greatest country in the world. And I want to know even more history about her.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm glad. That's what I hope.
Yeah. And you along with a radio host that I listen to, who lives right nearby you.
Get out. Who?
His name is Mike Slater. He's on.
We need to connect. I don't know him.
He does a show on Sirius XM on the Patriot Channel. He broadcasts from, it would be 5:00 your time in the morning, so from like 5 to 8. And so he's,
who lives here is John Meacham, and if you have not read John Meacham, he's glorious. You must read him.
So, that's awesome. And so, so you and Mike, because Mike loves history as well, and I love history, but I need to be more steeped in it. I need to be more well versed in it, and you two are inspiring me to become more well-rounded in our country's history.
I'll do a plug for John Meacham. I just heard him speak at Vanderbilt.
Okay.
And he has a new book. It's called American Struggle.
Okay. Yeah.
Let's see. It's Democracy, Dissent, and the Pursuit of a More Perfect Union. So he's pretty brilliant.
John
and it's
Meacham.
John, Jon Meacham, Meacham. He's on TV a lot. I got to see him, and I thought, well, hell, I'll just leave a book here on his chair, and maybe when they're cleaning up, they'll give it to him. It never happened, but oh well. Hope springs eternal.
Yeah.
Well, but anyway.
Okay, so
what
look.
did you grow up? I want to ask you a question. What did you grow up listening to, music-wise? Who did you love?
Okay, I guess I'll tell the story. Because I've told it a few times on this podcast, but you know, people don't watch or listen to every episode. You know, I grew up listening to the radio when you're in the car with your parents. You got that one speaker in the back and it's on AM radio. And you know, my dad primarily, but my mom a little bit, would put music on the stereo at home. And you know, you'll remember this, a stereo that people had at home was actually a big giant piece of furniture in your house. And
absolutely.
It was made of real wood, and it would weigh about 250 pounds, and it would take 2 to 3 people easy to move it anywhere. And it had big giant 12-inch speakers in the cabinet, and it had a turntable, an AM FM radio, and a little slot so you could put your records in there. And
okay, did you have the stackable records? Because I grew up listening to Sinatra and all the crooners. My mother would stack the records.
Yes,
you could put me down for a nap, and so I would listen to The Summer Wind, It Wasn't In, or anything, any Perry Como, all that. That's what I listened to. Did you have that kind of stereo?
Yeah, you could. Yeah, right. That the spindle in the center, you could stack. You could stack 3 or 4 12-inch records on top of there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then if you had 45, so if you had singles, you get that big thing that looks like a solid toilet roll paper, you know, holder or whatever. And, and you would put that over that spindle, and then you could put your 45s, and you could stack like 10 or 15 on there.
Well, I had my own 45 record player down in the basement. I could play it.
Holy cow! Well, I'll tell you what. So you know. So we had some music playing around the house. My dad would listen to a lot of old country artists and crooners like Jim Reeves, Eddie, and I love Jim Reeves. Gosh, I love Jim Reeves. Eddie Arnold,
Ray Price.
Yep,
I have to work with Ray Price.
We had a little Ray Price, a little Charlie Pride.
I remember Charlie.
Gosh, you know, so we had some of that going on around the house, but I remember. So, I mean, I was used to hearing music. I was used to it. And you know, I remember it was around 1973, and my mom, she had the 45 single for the Beatles' Let It Be. And I just had a friend on last week talking about the Beatles. It was a Beatle fest last week. But so she had this 45, and she was putting it on the stereo. And it was in our family room, and she's sitting on the floor with a typewriter in front of her. And so she's sitting cross-legged, or as we would say as kids, you're sitting Indian style on the floor.
Indian style,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, of course. And so she got the typewriter on the floor. And one thing I always remember, she was a very fast typer. And so she's dropping the needle on this single. And as it's playing on goldenrod paper, she's typing the lyrics to Let It Be.
So wait a minute, stop for a second.
Yeah.
You mean to tell me that the liner notes didn't have the lyrics?
It was just the regular record sleeve. Just the regular single record sleeve. And
because we would live for the liner notes.
Well,
we had to get the liner notes.
Well, but see, this was in the, I mean, Let It Be was released in 1970. So really you didn't get lyrics in your albums, and you definitely were going to get lyrics with a 45.
Not with a 45.
So
sometimes, do you remember? Sometimes you'd even get a poster included.
Oh, of course. Are you kidding me, Pam?
Oh my
Yes,
goodness,
yes. That was. I'll get to that in a second. So she's typing the lyrics to "Let It Be," and of course, she didn't get it all the way through on one go, but she'd start and stop, and I was like fascinated by that. And then I remember I took that piece of goldenrod paper and I kept it, and I would listen to that single myself, and I would sing along with that goldenrod pit. I had the lyrics. I could sing along to the song of "Let It Be," and I think that was like the moment that really just like grabbed me and hooked me on music. And I was never. I mean, I always liked the Beatles. I don't dive deep into the Beatles, but that was my start. That was what hooked me, and I would and I my older brother Jim, he's 9.5 years older than I am, so he would I got to listen to some of his records, and he really turned me on to Uriah Heep. And I remember having listening to a little bit of David Bowie. And then as I got older,
favorite Bowie. What'd you like?
My favorite Bowie song is probably a toss-up between three songs, and that would be Golden Years, Blue Jean, or a song he did for the soundtrack of Cat People. I think it's called Putting Out the Fire with Gasoline.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it came out in 19...
Did you like Fame? Because that was, he did that with John.
With John Lennon, yeah. That was right before John took his sabbatical. But yeah, I mean, I like that song and all that other good stuff. But man, I mean, those are like my favorite Bowie songs. And
and how about Let's Dance with Niall? Shut up, that was the best.
That completely put it's really funny how David was in the spotlight for probably 15 years at least at that time, and everybody knew David Bowie, and they knew Ziggy Stardust, and they knew all the stuff about Bowie, but the Let's Dance album put him in such at such a different level. And
that was Nile Rodgers.
That
was Nile. Yeah. Unbelievable.
It was Nile Rodgers. And Nile Rodgers bringing in Stevie Ray Vaughan to play guitar on that record.
Right. But curiously enough, they never collaborated again.
No, you're right. They didn't. And look at that album. There is the biggest selling album in Bowie's catalog. And you would think, well, if it worked once, why can't we make it work twice? But the next album that he released was in, I believe it was 84. That was the one that had the single Blue Jean, and that was the only single on the record.
I think I don't know. I mean, my ex-husband used to work with David.
Oh, okay.
And he had Tin Machine.
Oh, yes. That was early 90s.
Right.
Yes.
I think there was something like ego-wise, because Andy and I used to talk about it. It was almost like David could not give credit to Niles, where Niles really made it cool and hip and commercial.
Very much so.
Right?
Yeah.
And just so special, and was always like in the back, and is still creating, right? Now, since you're on the topic of David, let me segue to MTV. No. So listen, when MTV launched, which was 81.
Yep. We could have before you finish. I
was just a pup.
But yeah, hang on. Before you get into that, Pam, we could have scheduled this for next Saturday because that's the 45th anniversary of the launch of MTV.
Well, cool. You should. Well, then air some of this stuff. Because let me tell you what the deal was, Jim.
Yeah.
When we launched MTV, we did not have. I mean, okay. So the concept, my bosses, it was a 24-hour channel.
Yep.
With commercials. Problem was, we didn't have channel capacity in a lot of the major cities. Mm-hmm. So where were the major music centers? LA, right?
Yep.
And New York.
Yep.
That's where we need to get people on board. We need to get the record labels to give us videos. They couldn't see what we were doing. So how in the world are we going to do that? And we needed advertising. Well, Madison Avenue was New York.
Yes.
So we were in, Omaha, and we were in Trenton, New Jersey, but we weren't in the major cities. And the videos, we did not have a boatload of videos.
Nope.
So you know who we had? We had David Bowie, because there were video jukeboxes in Europe. And he was a multicultural artist.
Yes.
And he did mime and he did acting. And so he produced all these cool videos. And that's what we played. And we had like the Buggles and Dexy's Midnight Runner. And then we had Men at Work, which was Australian. And we had Flock of Seagulls, all that stuff.
But that was later, though. Right? Those acts there were later. Outside the Buggles.
But that's what we had when we launched.
Yeah.
We did not have a big library.
No. You had I think you had, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you had 2 or 3 videos from Pat Benatar. You had about 4 videos from Rod Stewart. And then most of these, a lot, like the ones from Rod, those were songs that, those were like deep tracks. Nobody even knew what those songs were because they weren't like hit singles.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
And then just all kinds of just oddball stuff, but you're trying to fill a 24-hour cycle. And well, you did have, I think, a couple of videos from The Who. I think you had You Better You Bet. And that was before Eminence Front. So it was You Better You Bet. And I think there was one other video from MTV. We're starting to get into my lane here a little bit, Pam, and so I love this stuff. I just love this stuff so much.
So you know what my job was, Ben? My job, okay, like this is right out of college. This is my first job out of college.
Yeah.
Was to get journalists to come to my office and watch what we called air checks. Because they couldn't turn on the TV. And we'd call Bob Christgau with the Village Voice and John Perales with Rolling Stone and all these legendary rock writers and said, would you please write about this channel? Would you please? and then I'm not joking. And we get them a cup of coffee and we like, could you please sit here and write about this? And it's hard to believe that now it's like, hello, but it was not a phenomenon at the time. I always say I was involved with 2 phenomena. The first was GARP. I was MTV, and the second was GARP.
Yeah.
Now the third, as I get older, and now it's Ben Franklin.
Yeah. but I actually, speaking of Uriah Heep, one of the first videos that MTV had was a Uriah Heep video. It was doggone it, it was off the Abominog album. It's one of my favorite bands, and I'm losing track of the song here. But it'll come back to me. But I remember seeing it.
We had Peter Gabriel. We had like Shock the Monkey.
Yeah.
We had Phil Collins. And if anybody's out there, if you watch the Michael movie, which is about Michael Jackson, which is really good, see it in IMAX if you can. There's a whole section about MTV. I was working there then, and it is absolutely the darn truth.
Okay, that's in my notes. I wanted to talk about that, not because I haven't seen the Michael movie, but not because I don't have a block on. I just haven't seen it. I was fortunate enough to make time to go see Young Washington, but when it came to Michael Jackson, there were no videos. Actually, there were really no videos for Black artists at that time. But Michael was one of the first. I don't know if I can't say he was the first, 'cause I don't know for a fact. You probably do. But when the record company, wasn't it Epic Records at the time?
Walter Yetnikoff.
Okay. And they brought in, because the very first single off of Thriller was The Girl Is Mine, but there was no video for that song. But there was a video for the next single that was released, and that was Billie Jean. And correct me if I'm wrong, but the record company, the executive there, brought the video to MTV, or had it sent to MTV, and said, play this video or I'm yanking all the videos of my artists off your channel.
Okay. My boss was Bob Pittman.
Okay.
True story. True story.
That was true.
And before that happened, do you remember Rick James?
Oh, I'm telling you what.
Very kinky girl. Remember that?
You play "Give It to Me, Baby" or "Super Freak." I'm on the dance floor. Forget it. You can't keep me off.
Okay, so here's the kicker.
Yeah.
He called us racist MFers in Billboard.
Okay.
Not making it up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my goodness.
Right.
Oh my goodness. Now you got to understand, Bob Pittman is from Mississippi, and so was my boss, Margaret Wade.
Okay.
So that did not play well.
Yeah. I get that.
Did not play well.
But I'll tell you.
But guess what? Guess who else was cutting amazing stuff at the time? And African American, Lionel Richie.
Oh yes. Yes.
On the ceiling, dancing on the ceiling.
Yes. No.
All night long, all that stuff. So that opened the floodgates. There's a really famous, since you touched on Mr. Bowie, there's a famous interview with David Bowie and Mark Goodman, and Mark was one of our early VJs.
Yes, he was.
Mark is interviewing David, and David is saying, "Why in the hell aren't you playing black artists?"
Oh wow!
And Mark is squirming, and you got to understand that we had a black VJ, JJ Jackson.
And I want to talk about him, so I want to get back to him. Okay, so go ahead.
Okay, so it was. I mean, you got to tell me, like I had graduated high school and college early, so I'm like a pup. I'm really young. I am like so wet behind the ears.
Yeah.
And back in the day, like you did not get in photographs. It was like, just try not to make a nuisance. Like just shut up and do your job. And so I would watch all this. I'm watching Billy Joel and, Paul Simon and the Led Zeppelin guys. When Robert Plant walked in the studio, it was like, oh my God, I thought we'd all pass out. And I mean, there's great stories. And I'm just a pup, and I'm like the youngest one there. So it was just a very interesting, I didn't know it at the time. I wish I kept a journal, how history making it was.
Yes. Oh, I've talked about this on the podcast, and I think maybe honestly, Pam, I think that's how Claire got interested in my podcast and hooking us up, because she had made mention of an episode that I had put out talking about the Billboard Top 40 and MTV. And
right.
And the because I love all that stuff. I really do. I mean, I'm a rock and hard rock guy to my core, but my adolescent years, those high school years, I was listening to a lot of top 40 on the radio, and then I'd be at home listening to my rock and roll stuff, or my hard rock stuff, my Kiss and Uriah Heep and stuff like that you weren't really going to hear on top 40 radio. But I loved all that stuff early on. I say that for top 40 radio, at least in my years anyway, the sweet spot is from 1980 to 1984. And
sure.
There was so much good stuff. You were turning the decade from the 70s. There was disco was on its way out, but it evolved. It evolved from disco to a more a dance beat. People that they could dance to it and not say it's disco, and not have to admit it's disco, and that they liked it and that kind of stuff. And I love disco as well. But it became kind of more, I don't want to say accessible, but more maybe relatable.
Also, there was more of an amalgamation with black music. So you had Shaka Khan.
Oh yeah.
You had Rufus.
Yep.
You had Lionel Richie, who was bleeding the lines. You had, you know what I mean? I think it was becoming more open. And I was more of a soft rock person. So I was Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, and that kind of stuff. And then let's not forget Tina. Holy Mother of God.
Okay.
Let's not forget Tina Turner.
Oh, man. No. I would never forget the burner, Tina Turner. Okay.
Well, and Roger Davies, God bless him, how he took her and just absolutely kicked it in gear and kicked her career after what she went through with Ike.
Yeah.
who wanted her to take her name. I mean, he gave her the name.
Yeah.
I mean, she was automated Bullock.
Mm-hmm.
So I was part of all that stuff too. I mean, there's a photograph of me and Tina backstage with Nina Blackwood and Alan Hunter
Yes.
at the Reds in New York.
Why do you keep
one of the few photos, because you didn't jump in photos. You didn't do that. That
you
was
keep
very like you were grooming. That was not cool.
Yeah, you keep pimping everything. I wanted to talk about that photo too, because it's a great picture, and I love Tina, and I know that everybody in the music community anyway. I mean, music listeners, even casual fans, you can't forget Tina Turner, and that there was a whole career prior to her solo stuff, prior to Private Dancer, but which she was phenomenal, and I still maintain to this day that her version, which was the first single off of Private Dancer, "Let's Stay Together," the Al Green song, and everybody's like, Al Green, and I say, no, go listen to Tina. That is Tina's song. You listen to that one time, and that is Tina's song right there.
But her overt sexuality. And not in a slutty way, in a empowerment way.
Yes, she oozed.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And she, I'm fast forward. You know what I do? I'm working with the Tina Turner Museum, which is in Brownsville, Tennessee, which is right next to Nutbush, Tennessee.
Oh, that's great. Where she grew up, where she was born and raised.
Nutbush city limits.
Yep.
And also my grandmother, who was hysterical. She was great. She's like, well, do you want to go to Altamont Fair? My sister and I were just, I don't know, like junior high, maybe even grade school. Ike and Tina were playing at Altamont Fair, and I'll never forget it. And they got up and sang "Proud Mary," and it was so sexual. It was like, wow, And she's like writhing on stage, and I mean, it was like, who are these people? This is so cool. My grandmother was like hip. Like she was a pretty hip lady.
Okay. Well, hey, look, she did. She oozed sex. She could move. And look, bottom line is she's the one that taught Mick Jagger his, she's the one that gave him some stage charisma.
And she became a Buddhist. And if I've got this right, I think Herbie Hancock. Because she was a beaten wife. She was a battered wife.
Yeah.
And he's like, you got to get away. You got to get away. You need to chant. And he taught her Buddhism, basically. And she finally, gave her the courage. She talks about it, to leave.
Wow.
I'm no Renge Kyo. That was her Buddhist chant.
Oh, yeah. I think I remember. Yeah.
So she's, so it's funny when I go down to the museum, cousins are there. They all knew her. They all have these, stories. And then her husband, who gave her a kidney, I used to work with him at Capitol.
Really?
Yeah.
They were married for quite a while, right?
Oh, my goodness.
I mean, they were married up until the time that she passed, right?
Yeah, Irwin. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Tina was fantastic. Oh man, no, just great stuff. And
legs. Oh my God, her legs! How beautiful.
Yep. And here's the one. And you said not slutty, which no, it wasn't. But you know what? She was gonna wear her dress so short that she was gonna show every inch of those legs. And if you were sitting in the front row of one of her shows, you might catch a peek of anything that was underneath that dress because it was so short.
Yeah.
But she was proud to show those legs off.
Well, she was an athlete then. She played volleyball and basketball, and she was an athlete.
She was
a survivor.
Just fantastic. Yeah. Well, I would say survivor first, and then just being able to, I don't want to say reinvent herself, because she didn't have to reinvent herself, but she certainly got herself back out there in the spotlight, and she owned every inch of that spotlight.
That's right. Absolutely.
And
and talk about a fashion icon, and then segued into acting and amazing woman, beautiful, articulate, uneducated, but like Ben, she was always looking to better herself, always looking to read and embrace spirituality, and wasn't a drinker, wasn't a drugger. I mean, lost kids. She had, I think, at least one son that predeceased her.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, just hard stuff. I mean, raised his kids after all the poppycock that she went through with him. She raised his kids too. You know what I mean? It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
So
she was fantastic, absolutely fantastic. But okay, so we're on MTV. So let's still rewind a little bit. Let's rewind just a skosh. Okay, so
all right.
So MTV launches August 1st, 1981, and nobody knows what it is. Like you said, you're the one that's you're bringing writers in. You're trying to sell this to TV execs, all this kind of thing, cable people, to try to get it on their platforms. The MTV studios are in New York City, and yet there's no MTV to be had in New York City. Nobody can see it.
We launched in New Jersey. Okay.
Right.
We literally, they sent a limo. I think it was the second limo I've ever been in. And we launched, and my immediate boss, John Black, flipped the switch and said, ladies and gentlemen, rock and roll, MTV, and the Buggles came out.
Yes.
And I was sitting there and I'm like, holy moly, this is so cool.
And this is story. But this is the influence that MTV had. Nobody knew who the Buggles were. Nobody knows who the Buggles are now. But the Buggles will go down in music history, and they will stay there forever as being the first band, the first video to show on MTV.
That's right.
I mean, that's just insane. But that was, and nobody knew it at the time, but that was the where MTV was going, the influence that MTV had. And I think it was influence on radio, because if MTV was playing this video of a certain artist and radio didn't have it in their rotation, hey, we better go get that song and start playing it on the radio. And
do you remember, Ben? Do you remember I Want My MTV?
Of course. Okay. Too bad we're not looking at each other. It's too bad this is over the phone, because I want my MTV, and I look like Billy Idol doing it. That's why I wear my hair this way, Pam.
You gotta bleach it though, dude. You gotta bleach it.
Yeah, it actually used to be really, really light when I was younger. It just gets darker as I get older. But
everything is history repeats. That's a throwback to I Want My Mako, which was a little bit like, I think I was like really, really like 4 years old or something.
Okay.
But it was a oatmeal that they flavored with maple syrup to get little kids to eat their breakfast, and it was Mapo. It was called Mapo.
Oh wow!
It was really obnoxious. I want my Mapo, and the ad executives borrowed that, and it was I Want My MTV, and so then we got like Mark Knopfler and I Want My MTV.
Yes, that Sting.
And it became this zeitgeist, right?
Yep.
And then I will say largely because of people like Mark Goodman, but even more so J.J. Jackson, who broke so many acts back in the day, like Led Zeppelin, like Robert Plant, like fill in the blank. He would convince these guys to come on and say, hey, man, I'm working. I'm the VJ. Come and be on this. Do an interview with me.
JJ.
And so it became dominoes then. They'd come in and then, okay, well, if Robert did the show, then I guess I can do the show. And that's how we got these acts, and we had no money. Like, it was like everybody did their own makeup.
Well, yeah, I remember hearing about that. And here's the thing. Well, and didn't each of the VJs, they had a clothing budget, and they could go into certain stores, but the budget was like next to nothing. So they were picking up whatever t-shirt or pair of jeans or something on the cheap.
Absolutely. And there was no like synergy about what you should wear. It wasn't like, okay, we had a stylist. It's like Nina Blackwood wore what the hell she wanted to wear.
Yes, bandanas in her hair, and she look, her and Martha Quinn were wearing their t-shirts and sweatshirts off the shoulder long before the movie Flashdance, long before Jennifer Beals did it. And
Nina was a rock and roll harpist.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
Gigs, and Alan Hunter had been in David Bowie videos.
I think I remember hearing that. Yes. Now, okay, so JJ Jackson. I loved JJ Jackson. Okay, and I first off, I loved all those original MTV VJs. I really, truly did. And but JJ, obviously, he was the elder statesman of the group. They were all just kids, and JJ was the older guy. He was the old guy. He was the cool guy. But he had but he came from radio. He had a background in radio. He was on our rock station here in Los Angeles, KLOS, for a while. So so he had that credibility with the rock community. And he could, he brought that in.
Bring a lot of artists in.
Yeah.
And so they trusted him.
Yeah.
And that, and Mark Goodman to a lesser extent, because he was also in radio, but not as powerful. Okay.
Right.
But yeah, I'll tell you a funny story about JJ. So go ahead.
Good, because I have one too. So I'll tell mine first, because I'm sure it's a lot shorter and a lot less interesting. So
are you saying that I'm verbose? Is that what you're trying to say?
No. I'm saying that your story is going to be better than mine. So you saved the best for last.
Partly.
So this was post JJ's time at MTV, and one of the radio stations out here was changing formats. It was it was 101.9. And they were calling it, this was now 1987. Okay, this was the back half of 1987. They were calling it FM 102. And JJ was the afternoon jock. I honestly think that JJ, I don't know for a fact, but I think JJ was also the program director, and he may have been. But they were playing, they were obviously competing against, I think KMET had just gone off the air. So now the only competition was KLOS. And KMET was another legendary station in LA. But so he's the afternoon jock. I would listen to him all the time because I had this connection between, with MTV. And so he was playing the album cuts, play some of the hit singles in the rock world, but he's playing the album cuts too, which of course that's what I love. I love all that stuff. And Mark Goodman ended up coming aboard as well.
Okay, cool.
The station was short-lived, unfortunately. I think it had a shelf. I think it had a life of about 2 years, unfortunately, because it was a good one. But Foreigner had released their album Inside Information. And there was a couple 3 tracks that were not the singles that JJ was playing, and I loved it. But he comes out and he makes this announcement. I think he was back announcing one of the songs he played, and he says, "Yeah, Foreigner, they're going to be coming to town, blah blah blah, whatever it was." And so I had heard from another jock on another radio station, Rick Dees, by the way, who was on the top 40 station, Kiss FM at the time. He had made an announcement that Foreigner had canceled their tour and they were not even coming to the LA market. So here I get on the phone. I'm like 23 years old, 22, 23 years old at the time. And I get on the phone and I called I called the station. JJ answers the phone.
Shut up.
No. He answers the phone and I said, "Hey, JJ, you had said so-and-so about Foreigner, about the tour, blah, blah, blah. Well, I heard that Rick Dees said this." And boy, oh boy, if I had a recorder, oh my God, if I could have recorded that, JJ read me the riot act, cussed me out.
Did not.
Cussed me out big time for listening to Rick Dees, and then hung up the phone on me. It was great. It was the best. It was the best.
Well, he was such a presence. Let me just say.
Yeah.
I remember he would wear red a lot.
Red leather.
It was like the leather pants, a leather, short leather kind of bolero jackets with zippers and all that. You know, that was that time.
And he pulled the sleeves up the forearm a bit, you know.
Yep.
But
like we did not have a makeup artist. Okay, we did not have a stylist.
Yeah.
We were over on the west side in a studio, and we'd send a limo for the artists that we'd get on there. And so Billy Joel or Robert, whoever, you know, some of the people lived in town, and some of them would, you know, be on tour or whatever. We'd try to book them, and a lot of them was the street cred that JJ had.
Yeah.
So I mean, I remember we had Ron Wood, and we had Paul Simon early on, and we had Robert Plant. And those are two in particular that I remember. And so Robert Plant walks in, and he's a god, you know, the hair and the persona, and he's tall, and he's very theatrical, and he's got these, you know, kind of this chest hair sticking out, but not like Fabio, like super cool, right?
Yeah, of course.
And he's like, he walks over, and the first thing he does, he makes a beeline for JJ. Now, I told you, we did not have a makeup artist. We did not have a stylist. This was like, we were like, you know, basically American Express had made money and Warner Cable had made money. And the two amalgamated and formed a company called Warner MX Satellite Entertainment Corporation.
Okay. All right.
WASAC, okay? And we had Nickelodeon, the Movie Channel, MTV, and something called the Shopping Channel. And then we had Arts Entertainment Network, which became Bravo. That was the core. And then we had this thing, MTV is what became amazing, right? And it was called the Music Channel initially. When I got hired, they're like, we have this channel, we're calling it the Music Channel. It became MTV, it morphed into it. Okay. So we've picked up Robert Plant. He walks into the studio. There's not a big entourage or anything. It's like seriously, it's on the Lower West Side. It's, you know, kind of dicey area.
Yeah, back in the 80s, yes.
He walks over to JJ, and he gives him a big old bear hug, and we're standing there. And of course, you're told, like, shut up, don't say anything, don't take pictures. You're just lucky to be here. And he pulls back, and he looks at JJ, and he goes, JJ, you're wearing fucking makeup at the top of his lungs, because JJ has done his makeup. Yeah. And I promise you, ladies and gentlemen, he bought this makeup that was like, I don't know, terracotta colored. And he's African-American. He's the only African-American who is, you know, on our roster, if you will, in part of the MTV team.
Yeah.
So it's not like you could borrow Nina's makeup or something. You got to have your own. And he bought this brick looking stuff, and he looked like a brick with eyes. I'm not making it up. And he would put like mascara and a little bit of liner. And I'm like, you don't know what the hell you're doing. And what the hell are you doing? And nobody told him not to do that. Because we didn't have anybody. It was like so like garage band. It was so like laid back, right?
Yeah.
And I remember one time, Alan, who was, you know, he was a performance artist and been on acted and whatnot. He was very limber and very funny and adorable and everything. He decides he's going to do a cartwheel. So he's off stage. He does a cartwheel, and his foot goes right through one of the cameras and breaks the camera. and stuff like that was happening all the time. For real.
Oh no.
Yeah. So anyway, like I said, I if I was lucky enough to score an invitation to something, but mostly it would go to my bosses. Like if it were the really cool parties they got to go to, but occasionally it would trickle down. And it would be like Pam Lewis plus 20. And we would go to, you know, Limelight or the Cat Club, or backstage we would go, you know, that one Tina Turner, right? We would go and see her at the Ritz. And I remember we went to see The Godfather. And, oh, God, he was supposed to be on, oh, golly, like a normal time, whatever, 8 or 9 o'clock. He didn't go on until 2 or 3 in the morning. And I was like, I'm not going to miss this. So we kind of like took our coats and wadded them up and fell asleep backstage or not backstage, in front somewhere. I squirreled away somewhere. And finally, he went on stage, and it was like, my goodness sakes, but it was worth it. When are you going to get a chance to see The Godfather, So
for all you kids out there,
crazy.
For all you kids out there, The Godfather of Soul. That's James Brown, people.
Taught Prince everything.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, yeah, man, that would have been something to see that. So wow, that's amazing. And tell me about, you guys used to have, do you have like a lounge offset where the video games were?
We had now mind you, I worked there for 4 years.
Yeah.
So life went on. Because I worked there, and then I got this. I was dating this man, John Bellissimo, who was a wonderful photographer. And Tom Bellissimo, maybe he's listening to this. Tom lives in LA, and he's a special effects guy. I think he's just retired. But John looked like Scorsese, for real.
Oh wow.
And John would call me, and he was great fun, and he was, knew every song and knew who produced it, knew everything. He was like, who wrote that? Who did this? I'm like, I don't know, John. I don't know. John was older than I was. I was kind of a little bit of a silly person, I guess, not very educated on music. But at any rate, he would get booked to shoot a lot of shows.
Okay.
And he would do the backstage, what we would call grip and grin. And then he would also do the concert itself. So RCA, for example, would hire him, and like if Bowie was in town, he'd shoot Bowie. And then if Alabama was in town, he would go shoot Alabama, the country band Alabama.
Love them.
And he shot Diana Ross, I remember, because we went to Central Park, and we were there for her show in Central Park, that famous show.
Oh yeah. She was all hair.
Oh my God. So John would call me, and he said, hey, you want to go to the Meadowlands with me? I got to go shoot these hillbillies, he'd say. And, John was like a traditional New York Italian, went to FIT, just could not stand country music.
Okay.
So he'd rent a car, and he lived on the west side, and I lived on the east side, and he'd pick me up. And he was older than I, and I thought this is cool beans, right? And we drive out to the Meadowlands, and he would make all these songs up. And he's like, well, my dog bit my daddy, all this stupid stuff, like, just being silly. And I'm like, John, so here I'm the girlfriend, right? And I don't have anything to do, just be backstage, right? I have a backstage pass. So I'm thinking, this is pretty cool. They have like food backstage, and they have like, beer and wine, and this is kind of cool. So John's out doing what he's working, and I had some, business cards where I was working at Water Amex, MTV and stuff. And I have a backstage little, something like a little path stuck on my jeans or whatever. And I got nothing better to do but to talk to the folks backstage. So unbeknownst to me, it's like ignorance is bliss. Who am I talking to? I'm talking to the head of the RCA record label in Nashville. I'm talking to his senior vice president, Randy Goodman. So I've got Joe Galante, Randy Goodman,
okay,
Tony Brown.
Oh wow!
Now Tony Brown, if you don't know who he is, he produced George Strait, Steve Earle, Lyle Lovett, and by the way, he was Elvis's piano player.
Oh
but
wow!
I have no idea who these people are. No idea.
Wow.
So they're like, well, what do you do? Why are you here? And I said, John Bellissimo is my boyfriend, and blah, blah, blah. Well, you work in the business? Yeah, I work at MTV. They're like, well, MTV? Oh, my God. So they're like, can you send us some swag? So I'm like, yeah, what do you want? With T-shirts and stuff like that. I could at least do that. And I got to know some of these people. And one of them was a publicist. And she was from Texas. And her name was Cynthia Spencer. And so she was very twangy. And she's called me up. She's like, Pamela Sue, she called me. Pamela Sue, who do I call at Rolling Stone? Who do I call at Billboard? Who do you know at Village Voice? And she's trying to pitch country music people. And I'm like, well, good luck on that.
Yeah.
But anyway, I would try to help her if I could. And she calls me up one day, and Tony Brown liked me too. So Tony wanted some swag. I sent Tony some stuff. And she calls me up and she says, you need to, I didn't answer her right away. I was busy. I had a secretary at the time. She calls back again. She said, I need to talk to you. I said, what do you need? Who do you need to talk to? And she said, no, you need to come to Nashville. I said, why in the world would I come to Nashville? She said, come and we're sending you a ticket. Just call in sick.
Just call in sick.
Seriously, that's what she said. I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't want to go to Nashville. She said, just interview for a job. She said, I am getting married. I'm marrying a pro golfer, and I have been tasked with finding my replacement. And Joe told me to call you because Joe was from New York too.
Yeah.
Just shut up and come and interview. And I do not want to go to Nashville. I had been to Nashville. I'd gone to the World's Fair with my family, which was in Knoxville. And it's very pretty, rolling hills. It looked kind of like where I grew up. But I don't want to live in Nashville. I live in New York City. What the hell, right?
The Big Apple. Come on.
The Big Apple, baby. Yeah. Okay, I'm living on the Upper East Side. You know, I've got someone in love with me. Why would I want to move there? She said, please, for me, just call in sick. So I call in sick. I get on a plane on the way to the airport, and on the way to LaGuardia, I stop and I pick up a billboard. And I thought, well, the least I can do is look and see if I can find anything out about country music. And I said, somewhere there's a chart in here about country music. So that's what I do. I find the country music chart, and I'm like, Kenny, Dolly, Alabama, RCA. Different artists that I like. Let me find the ones that are on RCA. At least I'll know who the hell they represent, because I didn't know. And I go in there, and I think seriously, because I don't want the job particularly, and I was very confident because I didn't give a flip about moving to Nashville. And I said, congratulations on Islands in the Stream. And they offered me a job. They think I know what I'm talking about.
But wait, this was like 1985 or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, like 84 or whatever.
Islands in the Stream
like
was
3 times what I'm making to live in New York.
Well, there you go.
And they're like, well, we'll move you there. I'm like, you're going to move my stuff to Nashville? Yeah, we'll move your stuff there. And we're going to give you a T&E. And I'm like, what the hell's a T&E?
I don't even.
Travel and expense report.
Oh, okay.
I'm like maybe 24.
Yeah.
23 and a half or something like that, whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm now not dating John anymore. I'm dating this guy, Andy. And I say, hey, listen, I've got this job offer. He said, you should do it. Because he used to work at RCA.
Okay.
He said, Pam, go do it.
Yeah.
You will learn so much. Because I did not learn the record industry. I did not learn the radio. I went straight from college to MTV. So I missed a lot of steps. I didn't understand publishing. I didn't any of that. So I'm like, with this heavy heart, I take this job. And I leave my family. I leave everything I know. I have an apartment. I sublet it. And I moved to Nashville. And at the time, I'm wearing Norma Kamali and vintage clothes. That's what I'm wearing.
Okay.
And they think I am from another planet. What in the world is this girl going to, I was very unusual, to say the least. And that lasted about a year before they fired me.
No, wait a second. Okay. You faked your way into the job. Did they just finally figure it out? Is that what happened?
Not so much, because I really did work hard.
Okay.
I mean, I'm a hard worker.
Yeah.
And by the way, they had this act that they had signed, and they sent me these cassettes, right? And I'm supposed to learn the roster. So it's Alabama, and it's a guy named Keith Whitley, who was so special, such a sweet, special man who had married Lori Morgan. He died of alcohol poisoning. And a guy named Vince Gill, who I absolutely adored.
Yeah.
But, he had all these, he was on Poco, right? So he had all these folk kind of, country folk kind of vibe. And I just loved him.
Yeah.
He's fun. I still love him. And a guy named Eddie Raven, super hard worker. And Bill Medley from the Righteous Brothers.
Yeah.
And the Judds. Oh my God, Judge. What the hell kind of name is a Judge?
Right.
And I thought, well, this is a joke. And it's, Winona and Naomi. And so that's who I was working with. Those are some of the acts I was working with. David Wills, Louise Mandrell.
But
And I
these
had to learn.
but these were all big hitters in the
Yeah.
country world.
Well, we were #1 label for 11 years, right? At the time.
Right.
So I was dancing as fast as I could, and then Ernest Thomas Connolly. Yeah, Ernest Thomas. Yeah, he was also on the roster. And here's what happened. Joe did not understand PR, and so he would get livid if I couldn't just snap my fingers and get all these photos placed in Billboard. And so when Billboard came out, and we would have a meeting every single Monday morning at 8:00. If RCA had one more photo than we did, he would go into orbit. He'd say, "You need to call Jerry Wood. You need to call Kip Kirby. You need, like, you're not doing your job." And he would scream and yell and swear. And I was like, "Oh my God." And he said it afterwards. He didn't really understand. And long story short, I also had a boss who was hired. Not when I first started working, but since like maybe 6 months after I worked there, whatever it was. And he grabbed me and made a pass at me and like really physically assaulted me.
Ooh, yeah.
And I was like, what the hell is going on? And I rebuffed him, of course. And shortly thereafter, I was moved from my office into a closet, and they were trying to get me to quit. And it was a Me Too thing.
Oh.
But Ben, I was so stupid, I didn't even get it, right? I'm just like, well, whatever. And so I get fired. And I call my attorney, and he says, "You don't have an employment contract." And I said, "Do I have a case?" He said, "Yes, you do." And then he said, "Do you want to work in the music business?" I said, "Yes, I do." He said, "Well, my opinion is you let this go because you're going to be branded a troublemaker." And so I then start doing freelance because I lost my apartment in New York at the time. I call my boyfriend. I'm like, "Oh, I got fired." He goes, "Oh, by the way, I'm in love with this Entertainment Tonight correspondent."
Oh, beautiful. Great.
So it's like Dark Night of the Soul, and I have to see this bitch on TV all the time. And I lose my apartment at the same time. And now I'm living in hillbilly heaven in Nashville. And I'm like, oh my God, I have no friends. So the friends I knew were party friends, but they weren't friends. And so all my supports, everything is in New York. So little by little, the Country Music Association gives me a lady named Kathy Gurley. She was kind enough to give me some work. Tony Brown, who I sent swag to, says, "I got this guy, Steve Earle. You want to work with him? How about Patty Loveless? Do you want to work with her? Do you want to work with Lyle Lovett? Do you want to work with Nicolette Larson?" I think I was making $500 a month, and I was making enough money to pay my rent and eventually buy a house. That's how it happened. And I promise you how naive I am. It did not dawn on me that I had a Me Too thing happen until Me Too happened all those many years later.
Right.
I'm like, holy cool. I was abused. I was sexually abused. And then I thought, oh my goodness, that's why I was fired. If I had just gone and slept with him or whatever, I'd probably be okay.
Yeah.
I was so stupid. I was so naive.
Yeah.
So naive.
Well, I know. And the thing is, though, too, is I don't want to say it was part of the culture back then, but it was part of the culture back then.
It still is. What are you talking about? It still is.
Well, yeah. I don't know. I stay clear of all that. So.
Well, you're a guy. Of course you do.
Well,
I mean, no offense. I'm not trying to be ugly, Ben, but that's just the way it is. How many female managers are there now? How many female producers are there now? I mean, our booking agent, when we started managing Trisha, you know what he said? "Why would you work with a female? They don't make any money."
Wow.
And if you listen to an hour of radio now, maybe one female, maybe two. Still.
There is something to that. Even, I mean, especially in country radio, I know there was they were getting some blowback about not playing enough female artists. And
yes, well, it's gotten better.
Yeah.
And we're actually playing brown and black people now too. Amazing.
Yeah.
And maybe even gay. Hello.
Yeah.
So it's gotten better, but I'm not trying to be flippant, but it's just what it is, cultural,
Yeah. So tell me about Doyle Lewis Management and what happened in 1987.
Well, okay, so a guy named Bob Doyle called me, and Bob is from Missouri. And Bob, I don't know, it's the Show Me State. It's like, New York is the Empire State. Bob does not, how do I put this? He kind of beats around the bush. And so you have meetings. I would have meetings with him, and I really did not know why he was meeting with me. I mean, he was already an executive at ASCAP, and he owned some buildings, and pretty respected guy. And then there's me, and I've been fired, and I'm just cobbling a living together. And I bought a house. I have bought a house, and I'm doing okay. But
Yeah.
I'm paying my bills. But I'm not an icon. I'm not anything like that. So finally, after like several meetings, he says, well, I'm leaving ASCAP. I want you to meet this boy. He kept saying, I want you to meet this boy. Yeah. And the boy turns out to be Garth Brooks. And Garth is not a boy. Garth is 4 years younger than I am. And he's like, hello, ma'am. And I'm like, ma'am? What are you talking about, ma'am? And he's from Oklahoma. And I never forget, he was sitting on this Haitian cotton sofa in Bob's office. And I said, well, we'll play some songs. So he starts playing some songs, and they're very plaintive. He's not running around jumping off of stages or anything.
Right.
And he's got a Siberian Husky dog that's sitting there.
Oh, great dog.
And I'm like, oh my goodness, like I get it. Like I get what he's doing. And he, of course, was very influenced by singer-songwriters and Townes Van Zandt and some of the stuff that I grew up listening to. Pure Prairie League, which Vince was in,
right.
by the way.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I get it. I get what he's doing. And he had this incredible blue eyes, but he wasn't so gorgeous that you couldn't relate to him. It was kind of like he could be, very relatable. The kind of guy that you want your daughter to date, and the kind of guy that, you want to go have a beer with if you're a guy. And just, athletic and kind of polite and whatever. So I said, okay, Bob, I'll work with you. And we formed Doyle Lewis Management. And then we had Bob said one time, it cracked me up. He said, it's like, I'm Mickey Rooney and you're Judy Garland. And it's like, let's do a play. And it's like, we're going to cobble our money together and put it together. And I maxed out all my credit cards and eventually he happened. And the rest is history. And that was an 8-year run. Which baptism by fire. And, I saw, last time I saw Garth, we had this kind of tearful reunion, and he was like, we were so young. I said, I know, we learned a lot. And I said, I'm really proud of the work we did together.
Yeah.
And I think those records still hold up. I think the golden age was, the 1990s and some really great music, not just Garth, but it held up. And then people that I loved working with, like Vince, Vince then from RCA went to MCA, and look at him. I mean, and then he'd been touring with the Eagles, for bloody sakes. So I was having as that. So yeah, it was a good run. And then Garth goes to, Garth was very smart, entrepreneurial. And so he and his wife, Sandy, at the time, she was working 3 jobs and he was singing demos. And so his reasoning was, I'm going to learn how to work a mic. I'm going to learn how to be in the studio. I'm going to get paid to sing other people's songs. And when I go to record, if I'm lucky enough to get a record deal, maybe they will give me their top drawer stuff. Maybe they will co-write with me. And that's what happened.
Right.
So on one of these sessions, Bob and I are in the office. He comes back and he goes, oh my God, I met the most amazing woman. I'm like, oh, here we go.
Oh, no.
Our voices sound so good together. And I saw him. I'm like, he's smitten. And that was Trisha.
Yeah.
So Trisha was married. He was married. Garth was like, will you meet her? Yes, we met her. We thought she was super talented. We set up all these showcases and stuff. We got her a record deal on MCA. And Pat Alger was involved, of course, wonderful songwriter Pat Alger. And Garth Fundus produced, and Garth had put this song aside, and he said, I kept it in the closet. I knew the right artist would come along, and that was She's in Love with the Boy. And that went #1 out of the box, first country female to have a #1 record at the time.
Wow.
So that was like, again, another phenomena. And they were smitten, and eventually, obviously, there were they left their prospective spouses and they're still married. So good for them.
Yeah.
But it was a crazy run, super crazy run.
There's some fantastic songwriters in the Nashville area. Just fabulous. I mean, you brought one of them up, Steve Earle. Man, that guy has written
Guitar Town. Oh my God. One of the best albums to ever come out of Nashville that still like holds up. And I was excited enough and lucky enough to work on that.
He's just written so many big time songs. I know
he's funny. Oh my God, he's funny.
I know and everyone in that area knows him because they know who he is, but the artists are making more money or I shouldn't say making more money, but they're the ones that are getting all the notoriety for singing and performing his stuff. But fantastic stuff though.
He and I became buddies.
Yeah.
And I was lucky enough to work several projects with him. And he's very recalcitrant. And when I was working with him, he wasn't into the really, really hard stuff yet. He was just, he was chasing the dragon. That was the first time I ever heard that expression and saw that. And he wasn't shooting heroin at the time. But he would call me up because he couldn't sleep. And he was like, Lewis, he'd call me Lewis. Lewis, that's this great song. You got to hear this. And he'd play me a song. It'd be 2 a.m. I'm like, God, Steve, seriously? But he liked Jägermeister. So he's like, okay, let's go out to eat. And I'd end up buying lunch. And I had no money. I'm like, oh, son of a gun. And he'd have like 3 shots of Jägermeister. But that was a kind of like real grassroots, crazy relationship we would have back in the day where it really was like a small kind of everybody knew everybody kind of town. So he says to me one day, he says, hey, listen, I want you to meet somebody. I said, well, who's that? He goes, just trust me. Let's go to International Market. You think I'm bad, you got to meet Towns.
Oh, gosh.
And so I met Towns Van Zandt. And so then I started working with Towns. And,
wow.
And I was like always the youngest person. I was always like, just shut up and don't get in trouble.
Yeah.
Just listen.
Well, you got into this business so young. I mean, right out of college is when it all kind of started.
I was a pup, and I was an early grad. So I graduated college and high school early. So I'm not really young now, but I'm not that old. And a lot of people I know, they're either dead or they're infirm, or I was still hanging in there. So.
Well,
yeah, I have to count your blessings. And like I said, I saw your picture, and we were on video earlier, and I'm like, oh my God, you look great. Well, so we talked about the importance of taking care of yourself. Oh my goodness, right? You can't take it for granted.
No, you can't. So bless you for that. Thank you for that compliment. But look, I'll tell you what, Pam, I have absolutely thoroughly enjoyed every moment of our conversation. And I could continue to do this, but I'm afraid. See, look.
I'm bored. They're absolutely bored.
Well, they probably are. I'm not bored. I'm not bored at all by any of this, but maybe some other people are. It's a long conversation type program, and I like it that way. And I could go on forever, but without
chop it up, use it, chop it up.
No,
you know what I like about this?
Yeah.
See, I can multitask. Women multitask. Men are not good at that.
You are absolutely right.
I have literally changed into an evening gown because I got to go to an event tonight, and I could do this and still talk to you and be cohesive.
You couldn't have done it though if we had the video going. You couldn't have done it then.
Not. Well, I could, but it would not be a pretty picture.
Hold on, real. I gotta pitch these 2 books. All right, look. I know if you guys are watching, you're only seeing me, unfortunately, and I'm not much. But you guys, you can also.
God, you're gorgeous. What are you talking about? Not much.
Thank you, love. Thank you, love. But listen, you can see the crawl on the screen. I am speaking to Pamela Lewis. She's an author. She is a media mogul. She's just. You can hear all this. She's fantastic. What a fabulous storyteller. I'm loving this.
I'm single. I'm so single.
Oh, man.
Out there who's normal.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to go on a darn dating app. I can't do it. I'm sorry. I'm not good at that. I'm not technical enough to do that.
Right,
so good for you that you found someone nice, but I can't do it.
Well, she put out these 2 books on one of our favorite founding fathers, Benjamin Franklin. The first one is more of a kid's version. Ben Franklin visits the town named after him for a day. He visits Franklin for a day and he talks to all the kids and all kind of stuff. The kids absolutely love it. He gives them a history lesson. And then this next one here, Benjamin Franklin, America's first rock star. And you've heard some of Pam's stuff. Yeah, you can see exactly why he's America's first rock star. Pam, those books are available on Amazon, right?
Yes, Amazon, absolutely.
Okay. Anywhere else they're available? Bookstores?
Well, if you come to Franklin, they're all over Franklin.
Nice, nice. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what.
Any place if books are available, you can get them.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Look, I want to come to Franklin because I want to hang out with you. I really.
And I gotta tell you, I haven't been to California in a while, but I would so come. I have a cousin in San Diego.
Okay.
I come. I mean, you'd give me a reason to come.
Well, the studio here, it doubles as a guest bedroom. So there you go. You got a place to stay.
Okay. I want to meet the woman who's putting up with your shenanigans.
Yeah, there's your reason to come to California.
Seriously.
No, you know what? Oh my goodness. I have loved this so much. This is great. And I could go on forever, but you do have to get to your gig as well. And
you as well. And you, I mean, my goodness, thanks for making time. Like I said, I'm not good at this stuff. I'm usually pushing someone else. So it makes me feel a little, I don't know, disingenuous kind of to do this myself. But okay, thank you for taking the time. I hope everybody enjoyed.
You were great. I was so nervous to do this too, because you were like so big time. So
shut up. You say that to everybody.
I don't say that to everybody. I said it to you.
I love when he panders. He's pandering, ladies.
No, see, and now you know what? Now, Pam, we're like, you're not just a friend of the program. We're like best buddies now too.
Okay, so I'm going to be a self-promoter, and I want to get a quote from you about my books. So send me a quote.
All right.
So that I can use it to promote the episode. Okay?
Yeah.
That's a wonderful thing. When you talk to someone who's a flack, then they can promote what they're doing.
What? Okay. All right. Yeah. So
I'll promote this episode.
Oh, well, I would
promote the book. It'll be a beautiful thing.
I would certainly hope so. As a matter of fact, I hope that it plays in the office, on a loop, so that, Claire can listen to it, Matt can listen to it, and that's all they hear all day. So,
oh my goodness. It's like, that's
right.
The MTV thing.
That's right. That's right.
So promise this will not be the last conversation. And now that I have your number, I'm going to ask you to book some of my clients. Hello,
Pam. That would be fantastic. I would love it. And no, this is not going to be our last conversation. This is going to be the first of, I hope to be many conversations. Like I said, you and me, the way we've gotten along here. No, this is, you're not just a friend of the program.
Odd to you? Because this is how I roll.
Yeah. Well, this is just me here. I'm just me. So.
Yeah, I think it's cool. So what's your takeaway? Like, what's your advice? I want some advice. What would anyone who's listening, what advice would you like to offer? Because I want you to be on my podcast, which is nowhere near as lofty as yours.
Please.
But I always ask for advice.
Well,
like, in other words, what are words of wit and wisdom that you can share with people who are listening?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I keep things, I don't know. I just try to keep things simple. I don't know if I'm one for words of wisdom, but I will say this, like, just in regards to this podcast, if it doesn't work, do it again. And if it doesn't work, do it again and do it again and do it again, and bury that thing into the ground until people pay attention to what it is that you're doing, especially if you have something to offer, if you have something to give them, if you, like, I feel like I offer my audience wonderful content. It doesn't matter if it's serious, if it's silly, or somewhere in between. And so that's why I do this. You are episode 139, Pam, and and if I don't feel like an episode goes well, you know what? There's going to be another one next week. So
there you go.
Just never.
Yeah. So I think that it's resilience and tenacity. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You just got to keep after it no matter what. There's going to be, there's going to be times when you don't feel like you're motivated enough to do something. Well, you know what? Get out there and do it anyway, because once you're out there, you're in it, and then you'll be in it to win it.
I read something a long time ago, and it was like, keep promises to yourself. And I have a tendency to keep promises to everybody but myself.
Oh.
And you get to a certain age, and you're like, hey, man, I probably lived more than half my life. And so now what's next? And so how do you keep promises to yourself? And Mel Robbins, I love Mel Robbins. She says, do something every day you're proud of.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. That's good.
If you don't know her, she wrote Let Them, which is a bestseller. Great book.
Yeah. No, that's good. And well, I heard somebody tell me one time, never do anything. And I try to live by this, but never do anything that is going to end up on the newspaper, on television, or embarrass your family.
There you go.
So always just live with integrity.
All right. I mean, that sounds lofty. I shouldn't say for we, because I can't speak for you. I have not always done things I'm proud of, but
I think that goes for all of us, Pam. There's always been a moment or two or six or whatever that that we're not proud of, but then as long as and you can reverse course and learn from it, then it's good.
Well, I as I said, I love to travel, and I met this lady in Nepal, and she had cancer, and her husband had a premature major health issues and stroke and everything else, and he was in assisted living. And she said something. I interviewed her. I was in Kathmandu, which I just wanted to go because Bob
Seger made it sound so good.
Bob Seger, the best, right?
Yeah.
And she said, listen, if I find out about something and I can't do anything about it within 6 minutes, I'm not going to worry about it. And I thought, well, that's kind of trite, but son of a gun, most of the stuff we worry about, it's really not worth worrying about.
Yeah, definitely.
And we kind of gnash our teeth, don't we? And it's stupid.
Yeah, I've had that feeling certainly more than once, where like the old Looney Tunes cartoons, where a guy would get angry and he would gnash his teeth so hard that they would break in his mouth.
That's right.
Yeah, and I've had that feeling. Yeah, definitely before. Not a good feeling. But
so I'm outside right now, and there are 3 white Pyrenees. I am doing my part in saving the polar bears. I swear to God, I opened my back door, and there are 3 white hairy dogs, always, every morning. They eat a hell of a lot, I'm here to say.
I love it. That's great. Yeah. That is great.
All right, come see me. Everybody, thank you for listening. PLA Media. If you have anybody that wants incredible PR and marketing representation, I am here. If you mention the show, I will give Ben a referral fee.
Oh, please. Oh, man. Hey, she is awesome. Pam has been great. Stick with me just for 1 second, Pam. Okay. Really quick. I'm just going to close up shop, guys. Thanks. If you hung around for this whole thing, this marathon here, thank you very much, because it was just fun listening to Pam's stories. What a fantastic storyteller. She's great. And just some history behind MTV and all that good stuff. As you guys know, this program is available wherever you get your podcasts. It's also right here on YouTube as well. Wherever you go for your podcast, just subscribe, okay? then you guys can follow me on my socials. Instagram, it's simply Ben Maynard Program, all one word, or on the TikTok at the Ben Maynard Program. That's it. We're done. We're out of here. You guys behave yourselves, okay? I will see you next time. This is the Ben Maynard Program. Tell a friend.